see you. Hi, how you doing?
Oh, you can grab our flowers?
Oh, the flowers are nice.
Yeah.
Daddy, my shirt says love.
Wait, can you grab Blair? Okay, it's working right now. I need. Hey, Blair. Can you talk to Mom? Please ask you. Yeah, I can turn it on. Check Mom.
Tom? No, our friend Tommy is off. International? Yeah, we were going to go to London. London, like, unlimited food management. You know, just because another variant something. Just, I don't know, I think it was over.
They're not both in the front?
Just hanging on.
They're not both in the front? Let's let me see one. Maybe downstairs. Or maybe I didn't bring it up.
No, you did bring it in, I saw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He was here last time. So yeah, we did that.
Mom, I want to be on my
And we did it last year, which I'm interested in. So, yeah, so, they can see it well, you know, I feel like freshman and so Noah's at Longwood and Adam's at Christopher. Just 3 hours.
Where are yours now? Oh.
It's awesome. Is it?
It's quiet.
Because Noah came home for semester to do virtual from home. So we only had time for about a month. Yeah.
That too.
Just so you're aware, we are live streaming right now, so anything you say will be up and so put it in.
Live streaming.
It's on.
Yep.
If you've joined the live stream, we are going to be starting here pretty soon. Good morning and good evening if you're coming in from India. Yours.
Uncle Larry? Mariah sent me. I have some.
I have to go ask the lady. I can't remember. I set it up yesterday and there's only one time.
Okay.
That's the tricky for now. I said it's so tricky for now. I moved away. I said what's the tricky? Sure. What's the tricky? Where was that? A long time ago. Wow, what's that? I know.
Larry's going
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 7:30.
Do you like purple berry more or green?
Dad, what did you want to say?
I vote for you.
Hey, you got it in your head. It's cool. Okay, good.
And mother.
White, blue, white is up there.
Look at Donna when he was just getting married. Right here, straight.
It's a weird color.
And
I like the orange is good. I mean this one is real.
Okay, go. That's fine.
Otherwise, hey,
I'm gonna give it to Wendy.
for live streaming, the less on the network, the better.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine to give it.
There's going to be a fight if one of them's on and one of them's off. There will be a fight.
No, put them both on. Don't have a live streaming video on it.
I know, and then you need more buses. Should be, but me and Nathan did a chess test on it. That's probably why I'm up with a little extra today. There's so many for them. Stuff we did the partner event where I sit on the bar and he coaches me.
You know about
For a little while, he went to
Did you guys play tennis?
She's already got a elementary school. The fall for
I haven't decided yet. I'm still waiting.
I only have one grip, so.
Which am I preferring? Right now I'm not into university classes, so that right now is the plan, but I'm waiting to hear back from two others. Yeah. I know. Definitely. I think that's a big thing. I'm not sure what I want to do yet. The area of
They wanted to come.
Yeah. Yeah, I think early August. Yeah, I'll be here until June.
So there's no fall.
My last is bipolar disorder. So, yeah, so mental health, I'm the national institute of mental health. That's what we're studying the genetics of bipolar disorder.
I might have gotten it for her, I can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah, my mentor definitely pushed me a little to pursue neuroscience research, so that's definitely an area for me.
Good to see you.
Perfect.
To go down.
No, I have to go to so it brings back some fond memories. In between.
So far, so good.
Watching the pictures, most of them look like her, it's me, most of them. Yeah, they're sure.
swap you.
Although when she was dying, I did ask her if she was dying.
And also for mother's wedding, everyone. Marilyn.
I know that you are.
Jake Moore. And then you finish many
We all had on
You might need to find. I'm right here. You might find Amy on the ground. But I'm gonna make you for the first week with you. Well, basically everything is not gonna trick.
I was gonna say, your wrist is your hand is.
Most stopping.
So I identified that a number of people watching us. I don't know if you wanted to say anything they are there. You wanted to say hello.
What, just in front of the camera?
No, they're there and online.
But they haven't started.
I know you have. I'm just saying, they're there. Just so
You're not gonna be alone.
I sent a message to them.
This might be all. This might be everybody's fault.
Even from our own.
Well, yeah.
No,
So Shiva's
should have called them.
I'll check my phone, maybe they texted it.
I'll call them. So at least we know that. Maybe call.
Oh, yeah, Malathi coming here, right?
Yeah.
You're on her way, okay, Shiva.
Is it you?
Whatever.
Jason and Shaker are going to Zoom.
Huh?
You did here? Yeah. We're not.
Oh, nó trộn lẻ. Okay, see you then. Bye. Okay, he's here. Ari's here. Shiva is just taking out.
Okay, so just Shivanko.
Who else we have to call?
That's it, just Shivanko.
We have to spot some people.
Huh?
Gary was saying we should tell
No, Vijay will get up there and he can say. When the whole India group is on at me, so when you say your hellos or welcomes. Huh?
I was pretty sure I did that.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're with
I'm in smallest.
By the way, now.
And I need us to look at
Who do you use?
No, I think we're just waiting for And then we met on Zoom. Yeah.
That she's not coming home. Oh, she is? I don't think. Oh.
She's feeling now.
I know, but
Percy? No, Lakshman.
No.
Okay, Vandam here. Okay, see you. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, she's coming.
Okay, I'm gonna bring a chair up for both of them. Four more people coming.
They're all there.
Four. Four in a row up there.
I'm turning it over to maybe that's what I said.
So you said you're saying because when you're done, just say.
No, but I'm going to take it over at the end, right?
It's fine. Because I'll have to the dress and change. And then what's his name, this guy will come. Let him speak and then he'll tell us just holds out the color.
Okay. 9:30. Okay.
Shiva and
Yeah. Shiva, nice topic. Thanks. Leadership.
I know. So after he does his thing, he has a detector.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Are you doing the bathroom? No, I'll do it this way, okay? Why not? Tell the boys to just sit down and
Get my stuff ready and I'll do one on the speaker over and up.
And you can take your mask off.
I know.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Can everyone hear me okay? All right. So if anyone's still outside, feel free to come on in and sit down. I wanted to welcome everyone to the celebration of the life of my mother, Malathi, Lakshman. We're welcoming everyone here and also the people who are online and visiting from streaming from India, from the United States, from all abroad. And I think we're more than happy to have you guys be here for this moment when we can celebrate what a wonderful woman my mom was. And I think that's really what today should be about, celebrating her, not grieving so much, but celebrating the wonderful woman that she was and the things that she did. There's a saying, it says, the loss of a mother can never be replaced, but the love of a mother can never be lost. And I think that says a lot about my mom. She loved us all very, very much. So it's hard not to grieve because you lost something that's so close to you. It's within your family and within us. And that part can't be replaced easily. And it should never be replaced. It's a hole in your soul that's gone. But I think that there's a light shining from each of us, a light within us that comes out. And that light, it's something that's given to us by each other. And I'm going to show you some ways in which my mom has given us the light and given us something to celebrate. So she led an amazing life. I mean, if you think about it, she came here by herself. You know, she was, she came here with my dad, but she had 2 kids. She was young, and she raised these 2 kids, on her own while my dad worked. She managed, once she decided she wanted to get an education, nothing was going to stop her. She decided to get her master's in library science, and she did, doing that full time and, taking care of us. A lot of you may or may not know that she passed her foreign service exam and did an amazing job for the State Department. Some of which we may not even know today what she did for the country to make the country safer. I know for a fact that she wrote briefs for the Vice President of the United States. I know that for a fact that when the Pakistanis tried to blow up the World Trade Center with the truck bomb, that she was one of the people who translated what they said. Things that we didn't know until many, many years after things had happened. She was fluent in multiple languages. She went in and decided that she was going to become a women's leadership program, winner, and she won it, and did that. And that was just another thing she put on her list of, I'm going to do this and nothing's going to stop me. And I think that was amazing. She retired because she wanted to be more at home with the kids and all of us. And then somewhere in the middle of that, she got bored, wanted to go back to work, and somehow managed to do that too. From going nowhere and deciding to retire fully to, I'm going to go back and I'm going to reinstate my position and go back to work. She managed to do that. And I think that's it's unbelievable. She was fantastic. She was a force of nature. For those of you who know, she always got what she wanted. She's constantly moving things in the house. I don't know how many times we moved things from one side to the other. It didn't have to be in the house. It could have been the yard. It could have been the garden. It just was things that had to be moved and had to be done the way she wanted them. I think we rearranged the yard multiple times. well, we didn't. We had these poor workmen who'd come and do it. But they loved her for it. They loved her for it. We moved homes. For those of you who remember, we moved into Potomac. And then my mom hated, like, after we all moved out, the whole house was too big. She didn't like being in this huge house by herself. So she wanted to move back. And I remember the following story of my dad. I asked him, I said, Dad, how do you deal with the idea that we're going to like move and then we just want to move back? And, you know, it's just, how do you do that, you know? And my dad looked at me and he said, this is by the secret to marriage. He said, I never sold the old house. so I think that was, knowing my mom so well was a really good way to go. And I think, you know, wherever she is now, in front of Brahma, Vishnu, Venkateshwara, Buddha, whoever that she's in front of, there's no doubt in my mind she's trying to rearrange their library, right? Make it better, make it more efficient, and make it something something that she can be proud of. So let's celebrate her and celebrate her life. Everyone must leave something behind when they die. A child, a book, a painting or a house or a garden planted. Something their hand touched, so the shining light of what their soul was has a connection to it when they die. And when people look at that child or that book or that tree or that flower planted, the person that they wear still shines through. Well, who did my mom touch? I think we're those shining moments. I think we're the ones that she touched, and we're the things that shine through after she's gone, and we remember her because of that. So she's with us always, first in our lifetime, and then forever in our memory. Thank you. So I believe next we're going to have an invocation.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, from my uncle. Go ahead, Yoko. Sorry. Thank you.
We are family of Lakshman and Malati. They're wonderful children, Vijay and Madhu and Larry and Wendy, and all the wonderful grandchildren that Malati so lovingly took care of and used to talk very proudly of them. I still recall those moments. So we are all here today, as Vijay rightly observed, to celebrate her life, and in the process recall the words of Lord Krishna from Bhagavad Gita, who talked about the eternal nature of the Atman, the self in all of us. So with those recollections, and also we will conclude that with a prayer for Malati attaining eternal peace and bliss. So with that we will conclude and invoke our gods. For in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord Krishna says, so when somebody passes away, it is only the body that passes away. There are two other aspects of their own personality called Sukshma Sariram and Karana Sariram, which actually which is eternal, which goes from to different places, and that's what he starts by saying. So this is the meaning of this verse I am going to chant. That is for the embodied one. Just like the body, there is stages like childhood, youth, and old age. So there is also a time for a new body or merging permanently with the Lord. So those are the two things that God has charted out. So in the first verse of this he says, Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumarum yavvanam jara tata dehantra praptir dhirastatra muhyati. So that means since it goes through the various stages, so the resolute one are not affected by all this. So I could see that even in her, this one, when she received people the 2 weeks before, she was so cheerful. So one could see the attitude that she has taken towards her own extent to the body. So she has only considered it as the end of the body and not the end of everything. So, and then Bhagavan Krishna in Bhagavad Gita actually reinforces this concept of self in all of us, the Atma, by saying, Avinashitu tadviti yena sarvamidam tatam vinasham avyayasyasya na kaschit kartumarhasi. The meaning is, for Atma, the indweller in all of us, please know that it is indestructible. It spans everything in the universe and no one has the power to destroy that indestructible. And then he reinforces for us to make understand the concept of Atma by saying, Nachayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyaha ajo nitya sashvato yam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. So as I said, Bhagavan Krishna reinforces this by saying, this Atma is never born, never dies. It is unborn, eternal, always exists. It does not kill when the body becomes extinct. Then he further reinforces the indestructibility of the Atma with these specific words. Nainam chindanti sastrani, nainam dagati pavakaha, na chainam kledayantyapo, na soshayati marutaha. This Atma is one that can never be cut by weapons. So it cannot be burned by fire, nor it can be made wet by water, or it can be dried by air. So he reinforces the indestructible natures of Atma. And then at the same time, he wants us to make us realize the reality that as far as the body is concerned, there is a beginning and an end. So he says, Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad parihargerte natvam sochitum arhasi. For those born, death is certain, and for those death, there is also a birth is certain. Hence, for a situation that is unavoidable, please don't grieve. He really actually offers us words of comfort. So, and so in addition to this transient nature of getting a new body, Bhagavan says there is also another path, that is to reach my supreme state. So that's what he says, and that's what we all pray and believe, that Malati achieves that state. See, Bhagavan says that is a state in which you don't manifest again. Avyakto akshara ityuktas tamahu paramam gatim yam prapya na nivartante taddama paramam mama. That means that is, you reach that unmanifest state, you will not be born again. So that is what is known as a destructible state. He says specifically, souls that have reached that state never return for another birth. So specifically Bhagavan says that. So why that state is possible for each and every one? He says that every jiva is nothing but a reflection of me. So that he says emphatically, and that is why a permanent state of merging with him is possible. He says, Mamaivam sho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha manasashtan indriyani prakritistani karshati. That means every jiva, every living being is nothing but a reflection of me. It is that reflection that catches on to the various mind and the indriyas to interact with the world. So that's what he clearly says, how only reflection of him interacts with the world. And then he also describes the state where that is reached by the jiva. Natatrasu natadvasayate suryo nasashanko na pavakaha yadgatva na nivartante taddama paramam mama. He goes on to describe that supreme state where neither the sun shines nor the moon shines, but it is self-illuminating on its own. And then he says that indweller what we call as Antaryami. That is one of the firm philosophies that Lakshman and his family believes, the concept of Antaryami, that God is inner controller. He not only resides, but doesn't give passively. He actually controls everything. So that's what he concludes. And then once you surrender to him, he actually gives you a state that is eternal and full of bliss. So that's what the last two lines, Ishvara sarva bhutanam yantra rudani mayaya tameva sharanam gaccha sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. So he gives that eternal state of bliss and so on. So with that few words, and also the invocation from the Upanishads that lead us from mortality to immortality. Asatoma satgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
So Raj and Madhu asked me to continue the words that and work that Vijay started in eulogizing Malati and talking about our experiences with her and contemplating her lifetime with us. I've had the profound privilege of knowing Malati for nearly 38 years and experiencing her deep, welcoming Namaste from the very beginning of our relationship. My relationship with Malati hails back to my early 20s and her mid-30s. We got to know each other deeply because of a foundation that was established in our early days around meals. Malati prepared them, during which we had deep discussions about who we were. Many of these discussions happened on Wednesday nights. When I would pick up Madhu from her work and take her home, I would always get warmly welcomed by Malati, and she always had a hot meal that was more wonderful than I could describe and made in a way that I could not really fathom. It was in that setting that I had the opportunity to share with her and hear deeply about Malati's passions, articulated in her childhood stories about her upbringing, vast number of siblings, and her love of her parents and love of India, and then all about what she was taught that was imbued in the very fabric of who she was. She was trying to get to know me, and I her. Little did I know that I was being educated on the awesome nature of India, Ayurvedic medicine, and what it meant to live as both a Hindu and Iyengar. You see, Malati was an expert on many topics. She took little for granted and was a voracious reader and student of life. I found her quick mind and deep knowledge incredible and fun to engage. These were some things I discovered. Malati deeply lived and studied her faith. Faith was the underpinning of everything she did. Malati was a deep student of language, as Vijay had mentioned. She knew many fluently. In particular, she loved the study of Sanskrit because it led to a deeper understanding of her faith. Malati deeply studied nutrition and the Ayurvedic benefits of food to health. This she took very seriously. It was a key aspect of her duty to bring health to her family and others through the food she made. Malati deeply studied me. Malati and I were both proud of our ancestry, faith and families, and pleased to share it with others. We shared that in common. In fact, we both were brought up to believe that our families were comprised of the best people with the best heritage and best understanding of how God intended us to live. When I found this out, I thought, wow, I found the other greatest family. What a blessing and surprise, there are two of us. But really what made our relationship work was our open-mindedness to the other's thoughts and, of course, I was very open to eating all of the delightful food that Malati prepared. You all know the story. Somehow magically I was blessed as a suitable suitor. Perhaps with her study of me complete, she believed I was up to the task. I'm unsure how it came to be, but I'm sure she had a strong opinion in the matter, and I am blessed that she said yes. Madhu and I became engaged and married, and honestly that's when the real collaboration between Malati and I began within our family. Here are a couple of highlights. With Madhu off to med school and residency, Malati and I got to spend many days co-parenting as we brought Mariah, Lawrence and Dylan from birth through toddler stage. Malati completely altered and prioritized her life to care for her grandchildren. She shifted her work schedule to start at 4 a.m. and to finish at noon to allow her to care for Mariah. Every day she would finish at noon and take over childcare at 1 to whenever Madhu or I could relieve her. I had the morning hours. When I say Malati was involved in our family, I mean deeply involved. Malati was a hero in her involvement in the emergency delivery of Lawrence at our home. Malati always showed up to family celebrations with pots of food and a warm embracement of holidays of all types. Our families became interwoven. My parents and Malati and Raj cherished deep relationships with each other and embraced each other's values, faiths, and cultures. Malati was all in her support of her grandchildren. She babysat, read, taught, played, and tumbled with them in all manner of ways that enabled learning and appreciation of love that family brings. Their successes were her successes. She delighted in each of them in individualized ways. Malathi and Raj both enjoyed the many dance recitals and sporting events that Mariah and the boys participated in. They were regular attendants and raucous sports fans, yelling at the refs at soccer games, basketball, football, and lacrosse games, along with my own dear mom and dad. Malathi had a great love for librarianship, and I had the privilege of her insights as I personally engaged the re-architecture of ERIC, a Department of Education digital library, for my work. She and I spent hours discussing metadata, lexicography, proper techniques in thesaurus design, and on, probably topics that would bore most of you, but Malathi and I just loved them. Malathi enjoyed a rich professional life of which she was very proud. She had multiple careers as a librarian at NIH and the VA, and as a linguist working in service to our country. After retirement, she spent many years collaborating with medical and Ayurvedic experts around the globe with the goal of providing a fused way of crosswalking the information domains of the Western medicine world with the East. She worked hard in the library at the temple. Malathi continued many acts of service to her friends in the greater community. Malathi fed and supported my mom during her last days. My mom's fondest food was the potatoes that Malathi lovingly made for her. During my mom's last days, she requested only them. Just a little over a week ago, even though she was in the final days of her life and suffering most, Malathi rallied us all together and made dosa for all of us to enjoy. Her duty and role as mother, grandmother, and wife being the last role before the role of self that she allowed herself to let go of before allowing herself to pass. While we are immensely saddened to lose her physical presence, we feel blessed to have been given these last few months with her to ensure she deeply felt our gratitude for the words she shared, the work she performed, and the love we felt for her. To me, it seemed appropriate to close as I opened with the word Namaste, or Namaste, which is a rich word that means neither hello nor goodbye. To me, it really summed up how Malathi engaged me and the world around her. While I know the word literally means I bow to you, when Malathi and I discussed the deeper meaning of it, she explained how it was wrapped up in the meaning of the word bow and the phrase Ishvara, pranidhana. The bowing in Namaste being connected with the bow/bending we do to submit ourselves to God's will, as in Ishvara pranidhana. Namaste then calls us to recognize the divinity in each other and to bow to that, and submit ourselves to God's divine will that breathes in us all. I found a popularized description of Namaste that captures how I experienced Malati and the way she greeted us all. My soul honors your soul. I honor the place in you where the entire universe resides. I honor the light, love, truth, beauty, and peace within you, because it is also within me. In sharing these things, we are united. We are the same. We are one. Namaste, Malati. Shiva Uncle, if you would come forward.
Namaste. We've all gathered here today and virtually to celebrate the life of dear friend Malati. As you correctly said, Vijay, it's difficult. As humans, we grieve, but I'm sure Malati will tell us that we should be celebrating her life. She lived a great life, and anytime if a life ends, it is too soon. But we should not be grieving for her passing away, because she lived her life to the fullest. From the time they moved here, Raj and Malati, a whole bunch of us became very close friends. Well, actually, family. For many years, as our children grew up, can't even believe that Madhu is an adult. You know, Vijay, at least I can see. You know, we all used to gather once a month, at least, you know, for bhajans. And actually, our group had a bhajan last evening in her honor, and sang the 3 songs that about Krishna and Vishnu that she usually leads, you know, in our group. And we gathered more often than that all these years for different celebrations, talking about everything under the sun and moon, playing cards, and of course food, and lots of food. There are times that everyone will actually sleep over, regardless of whose house that we are actually having that month gathering, because it was already well into the next day. Each one of us and all of us can recall many stories over the years. Because of these gatherings, our children also became friends to this day. She is not alone very intelligent, as Larry and Vijay recalled. She's also a very talented individual in art and music. She also was fiercely a feminist and quite independent. And I think you referred to that as well. She's very committed to her family. And as you recalled, I also jotted it down that she actually moved, from her Maryland house to Vienna to take care of the grandkids. She shifted her work time, as you said, to 4 a.m. to noon or 1 p.m. so she can be home before the kids come back from school and so they can be taken care of. That is one hell of a dedication to family. You all know she worked as a librarian in her professional life. And once we built the Sri Siva Vishnu temple, Malati and I had multiple discussions, emails, and later on texts. We discussed the idea of having a library at the temple. She also visited Saraswati Mahal in Tanjavur, and for the potential transfer of copies of rare books, and electronic transfer of other materials, and also establishing some collaboration. And eventually, took several years, her dream of having a library at the temple came through, and we have one of the largest collections of religious books of various faiths and articles on paper, as well as one of the largest online digital collections. And so she will live on, at the temple. She is a strong devotee, as Larry observed, and taught the values to her kids and grandkids without restricting them from expressing their freedom. I have to tell you all about how she faced the news that she had cancer. Calmly she was asking, as Raj tells me, the oncologist for all the medical details, and was surprised, and the oncologist was surprised at how she was taking this very intelligently and asking for details, and he not realizing that she was a librarian, and she said to him that this was happening only to my body, and that her inner Atman is fine and strong. After the first several treatments that did not succeed, she was ready to face her end graciously, calmly, and with a lot of courage. The postings she put in the last few months in the Facebook, texts, and the emails that she did, that she sent to her friends, family members, are simply a lesson for all of us as to how one should face the end of each one of our lives. So she was teaching till the end. When Kalyani and I visited her 1 week before she passed away, she brightened up and talked to us, and we recalled many nostalgic moments. She asked Kalyani to sing, and Kalyani sang a Krishna song. She closed her eyes and almost went into a trance. As Mauli was mentioning, she followed Bhagavan Krishna's teachings to the T. She knew the impermanence of this material body, and that Atma will pass on. And in fact, many of the Krishna's teaching that Mauli quoted, I'm going to dispense with because he has already mentioned it, except the one that he starts the advice to Arjuna in the battlefield. And I just want to mention that one sloka. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Asochanya Anvasochastvam Pragyavadancha Bhashase Kathasu Nagathasuncha Nanusochanti Pandita. What Bhagavan said as a starting, and he taught all of us, and that is that Malati followed and told us that it can be done in practice. It's not just a theory.
You grieve for those who are not to be grieved for. But you speak words of wisdom. The learned do not grieve for those who are departed, or those who are yet to depart. She told us all as not to grieve and celebrate her life. As Mauli mentioned, we pass on from babyhood, youth, and old age, and we don't grieve the passing from one stage to another. So this passing from this body is another stage, another milestone. So for us, birth and death are two mileposts to the next life. And we have the choice in this life to live to the fullest with free will. Bhagavan Krishna explains that just as there is no grief when one discards old, worn-out garments, and there is actually joy at accepting the new garment, the new body. In the same way, the embodied soul discards the old, worn-out bodies and joyfully accepts the new ones. And that is why one should not grieve at the death of our near and dear, but celebrate their lives. And so here we are, celebrating it. I just want to add one side note. I also really appreciate Madhu and Vijay as to how they spent the last few months. And Madhu, as a physician and daughter, helped Malathi and Raj, as well as others, to address the great difficulty. This was a great solace to the entire family, particularly to Malathi, as Lakshman told all of us. Even though she had recently joined a new practice, she took the last few weeks off and stayed home with her and took care of her in multiple ways. Hats off to you, Madhu and Vijay, for what you guys not only expressed how you felt the love that is going to live with you, and that will live forever. Also, I need to say something about the 7 grandkids. And they are all, it really was a joy for Malati. And you guys really provided that love that was needed for her. And thank you. And this is the wonderful example of how a family should be. I'm going to conclude with the same chant that Mauli did. It's called Mukti Mantra, which is Mukti being released into the Lord, into the Bhagavan's feet. You know, she is in Vaikuntha, you know, at this point. And so, those of you who know, please join me. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityor ma murdham gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Bol. Thank you.
Namaste, everybody. Lakshman, Vijay, Madhu, Pinti, Larry, all the grandchildren, and extended family members and friends. This is the celebration of Malati's life, but still the humans in us makes us feel sad. Malati told us about 4 months ago that she has this terminal diagnosis and left this world in such a graceful fashion. She taught us a valuable lesson as to how to face a terrible disease with dignity and courage. She bade goodbye to her family and friends, never ever questioning as to why me, and was always at peace with herself. I have known Lakshman's family since I was a child in Aravangadu, near Kunu, Ooty area, and I knew Malati since when she got married to Lakshman and came into the family as a 19-year-old young bride. Our family would see them every time they visited India from overseas. I remember she bringing Vijay as a little baby. I always remembered Malati as impeccably dressed with different hairstyles. She always looked pretty in whichever way she did her hair. And in the last month or so, even with the clean-shaven hair after her chemo. She worked as a librarian at NLM and had won many awards. She was extremely talented. She could sing Carnatic music songs very melodiously as she could sing Hindi film songs as a solo or a duet with Lakshman. She could draw and paint very well, and he could see her talent in the Navaratri Guru she would keep in her house year after year. She took enormous pleasure and pride in doing garden work and had a very good aquatic garden, and she even was doing how to recycle rainwater to get it into the garden. She was great as a mom. She raised two very accomplished children, Madhu and Vijay, and they were her pride. Madhu was with her mom constantly in the last month, taking care of her mom's every need, and we are all so proud of Madhu. Malati was a great help for Madhu in taking care of her children as she was going through medical school and residency. She was very proud of all her grandchildren, and they were her pride. Malati was a great cook and took enormous pleasure in cooking for the family and friends. As for me, at a personal level, we are the same age. She only 2 weeks older. Lakshman's family was the only family we knew when we came to Washington area in 1975. It felt like my own family being there for us. I did not know driving when I came here. I could call Malati to take our older son Vinay to the doctor for emergencies, and she would do it without any hesitation. Vinay told me yesterday that when she wanted a Snoopy doll dressed as a doctor, she sewed him one. We always lived in close proximity in Virginia and also in Bethesda, and visited each other often, except for the last 10 years when she moved close to Malati. Malati was very good at engaging with children. Children loved her and learned from her. We have traveled to so many wonderful places with Malati and Lakshman and other friends. We went to Alaska with Malati and Lakshman for 2 weeks, including a trip to Arctic Circle. Such lovely memories to hold on to. Undoubtedly, Malati left us all too soon. She had a lot of things to look forward to, still with the grandchildren. But ultimately, I talk for all our close friends. The happy memories are what we have to hold on to. Our memories will be our blessing. We seek blessings from Lord Almighty for the courage and strength and good health for Lakshman, Vijay, Madhu, the entire family, to live their life to the fullest, with Malati blessing them from her heavenly abode. we will miss Malati, no doubt. Whatever you say philosophically, the humans in us is still here, and we are going to miss her in every function, every which way. Thank you for that.
It's perfect to celebrate today on the day that we celebrate love.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Valentine's Day. Father wanted to make sure I started. Thanking everybody for being here. My mother is a beautiful lady. Her beauty was undeniable. We always told my dad he got the better end of the arranged marriage stick. She lived life with extreme pride and direction. She was the youngest of 10 and Chalam tall. She was proud of her father as Kayanga and her mother and Lakshman. And equally proud of her 6 brothers, Seema, Raghavan, Vasu, Sundar, Rajam, Sampat, and 3 sisters, Banjula, Kamala, we affectionately call Baby, and Basanta. She honored her parents and her heritage, and continued to learn from our scriptures and texts, from our elders and alvars, and loved Carnatic music. She was formally trained and continued to bring music to us at performances, bhajan sessions, and family gatherings, household parties. As Olive mentioned, Amma was an excellent cook, unparalleled in her craft, which she only took to the next standard by hosting every event to the finest. We have all benefited by her culinary talents. Her special secret was love, Kayode. Since she's my mother, I admired her for many things. I admire many things about her, and I have 50 years to reflect and share, which would be too much. So I've decided to highlight the 3 things that stand out to me. Family first. She married and immediately accepted her new family. Left her country of origin at the age of 19 and embraced Appa. She raised Vijay and I to be the best friends and to depend on our parents. Transitioning into adulthood, where we were willing to care for them. She rearranged and quit jobs, as many have mentioned. It's actually my story, but Mariah got injured at daycare, actually broke her finger, and she was not 1 year old. In a panic in the hospital, I called my mom. She dropped everything, left work, took Mariah, and the next day rearranged her work schedules. It doesn't sound like such a big deal, but now working and having a family of my own, having to get up at 3 a.m. to be out at Reston, come to Roslyn, care for my child from 1, bring her to GW so I could have dinner with her because I was on call, come back home and then drive out to North Potomac. It's greater than 50, 60 miles every day for 2 years. All along, not just balancing family, but her own work goals. Something I really admire that I didn't quite appreciate at the time. She was a proud woman, proud of her heritage, proud of her marriage and children, and ultimately proud of the community she helped structure, being a founding member of the Shri Shiva Vishnu Temple, and working hard to propagate our culture. Second thing, education. She valued education, her own first. There's a story that she left her Varan meeting down in Chennai and traveled back to Delhi, stating she wanted to finish her master's. She did get married, but stayed committed to her educational goals and enrolled at Catholic University to finish a Master's of Library Sciences. She went on to work at local libraries, the GPO, PRC, prestigious Library of Congress, National Library of Medicine at the NIH, and finally working at the Veterans Administration Medical Center in DC, where Appa also worked. As Chief of Library Services, she transformed the traditional medical library to an electronic services library, receiving distinguished recognition for her bringing the library into the 21st century. She also worked as a linguist in open source for Federal Broadcasting Information Systems, specializing in East Indian dialect, Hindi and Tamil. She traveled with work and continued to enjoy traveling for leisure with Appa, accompanying him on work travel. Amma enjoyed leisure travel with many of you here with us today. Amma believed that education was liberation. It allowed for financial independence and self-worth. She continued to learn about everything, always the librarian and intellectually curious. She researched travel locations and Ayurvedic traditions, our scriptures and cooking techniques. She supported Vijay and I to pursue higher education and modeled exemplary in 2 careers, always encouraging us to work and contribute to society and the community. She vested in the grandchildren, as can be seen in the audience. We have 4 college students, all with aspiring to attain doctorates in their chosen fields. The fact that she helped shape each of them with her intellect, her passion, and commitment, I give her full credit for laying the groundwork for our success. And finally, friendship. Amma exemplifies the story of the right hand catching the Talippe, of the Sari to protect a woman's honor. Amma has been both right and left hand for all of us and many more. Whether it be a meal, money, shelter, companionship, Amma was there. She taught us to show up and offer your support fully. She has done it countless times. First to bring food and flowers. She was also our ultimate cheerleader, often seen on the court of the field with a red iPad. I think what I appreciate the most is that she gave you her time. She never withheld her presence and made sure you felt her warmth surround you, Amma fully engaged. On the most personal note, Amma and I became closer over the years as my age caught up with her life experiences. We both married young and balanced motherhood and careers. We had struggles with friendships and marriage and our growing children. Her advice turned to trusted counsel. We respected each other's perspectives, and rather than being my elder, she considered my opinions and many times came to me as a sounding board. We talked about everything, never worrying if we would lose respect or patience for one another. She also had a way of seeing my children's choices in the light of wisdom to help temper my responses. As you all know, I became her caretaker after a life of being cared for by her. She was vulnerable and worried about losing her dignity in her final days. It is an extreme test for your parent to confide in you all that happens in dying. I cannot convey the intimacies we shared, but I can tell you that this is where I learned the most about Shakti. Amma was full of bhakti and surrender to Bhagavan. Thank you all for being here and sharing your life with her. Appa, Vijay, and I appreciate the network she set up to help us get through this loss. I also want to thank Appa for showing us the example of Anonya Tampadiam, continuing to see the best, support, and cherish your life partner, putting aside your own pain and loss to wish Amma's peace. Larry, Mariah, and Aiden for dropping everything to be here with us. Larry and Mariah for allowing all of the family to be present with us in streaming and on video. For Vijay for trusting me to care for Amma and the decisions and letting me vent the ugly thoughts. For no judgment and only love and support. Meera and Shrikant, traveling on multiple occasions over the last 6 weeks to be at our side in a moment's notice, even during snowstorms and ice. Wendy for giving Vijay Sundays, the kids and Vijay Sundays at our house. Lawrence for being my rock. And Tejas and Dylan for being Nanas. Each of us have some of Amma, so she is enveloping me in her loving embrace at this unbearable time. Shanti.
And the priest.
No.
I don't think that's not going to come after the priest. I'll go check out.
Is the invocation happening?
That'd be with the priest.
Just a moment of everyone's time while we just figure out if the priest is here. So we're opening the floor up now. If anyone else wants anything to say, you're more than welcome to come up.
Good morning, everyone. Just give me a minute.
You gotta really talk into the mic so they can hear you.
Okay. My words are going to be very brief, and there's not really a whole lot I can say after all of the wonderful things that everyone has shared about Malati. But this is for myself and for Kevin and for our daughters, Rachel and Rebecca. When I think about Malati, my heart smiles. As we go through our lives, we often think about why we are here and if what we do makes a difference. I know Malati made a difference in my life. She was another one of my mothers. I was blessed to be born to my wonderful parents, but as I moved through my life, God also provided me with extra mothers and fathers to help me along in this journey of life. Malati was one of my mothers, and she helped to teach me about acceptance of others, regardless of where that person is in their journey. Just love them. She was always thinking about including others and finding a way to make them feel special, and I saw this every time we were together, which was a lot over the past 30 years. On our way here today, I was telling Kevin, my husband, about the earrings I was wearing, which were an impromptu gift from Malati. I had commented on how beautiful they were when we were at a family gathering, and she immediately took them off and gave them to me. This is the person she was, always thinking about how to make other people feel special. When I asked her daughter Rebecca to give me her most prominent memory of Malati, she said she always remembers a conversation that she had with Malati when she said she wanted to be more like her sister. I don't know which sister she was talking about, but she said, you know, she wanted to be more giving. And then Rebecca remembered the story about the earrings, and she said that Malati was that person. She was more giving. Yesterday, when I was talking to our other daughter, Rachel, she said she had no memory of family gatherings that did not include Malati and Raj, because they are our family. These are a few of the things that my heart sings about when I think about Malati. Sharing joy, loving life, and making sure everyone you meet feels like their family. Because we really are family, no matter what. We love you, Malati.
So I'm a friend of Madhu's since we're 12 years old. So Malati I've known for a really long time. We've been through a lot with them, and I also live down the street from them now. And I don't have anything pre-written, but Malati was like a mom.
And, you know, moms, Maju and I used to talk about what annoyed us about our mothers, or what we loved about our mothers, and there was both. And we both had very strong moms. And the one thing that stands out to me recently that happened is with the election. Maju is busy. I'm around a lot. She would text me and call me and say, when's the election? When primaries? When can I vote? How do I vote? How do I register? Can you make sure that I don't miss it? It was so important to her. And I thought that was great. She was very civically involved and wanted to make sure her voice was heard. The funny story I have about Malati is when we were growing up, Maju used to sneak out of the house a little bit. And Malati, she would tell Malati that she was with me because I had a lot of boyfriend problems. So years later, Malati would say to me, I'm so glad you got over all your problems. She was a great woman and will deeply be missed. And Daniel and I just have a special place in my heart for her. Thank you.
I want to make a light moments. I think Malathi had issues with gastrointestinal problems. We're talking about a long time ago. We were all in the 40s and 50s. And little did I know, she was a librarian. So she comes and consults me, and then I give her some advice. And then next thing, for the next visit, I got this big printout of all the material about the GI symptoms, GI treatment. And then she always comes up with her own treatment. And I say, first time I say, no, you should do this. Second time around I say, you are doing the right thing. And she was so happy. I can't forget those moments. I just want to make a note. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
You know, we've known, Revati and I have known Malathi and Lakshman for so long. It's almost like we were in this life together all the time. So Malathi was a spark in our life. I still remember, like yesterday, when we first saw her. As soon as I saw that picture, that's how she was. And immediately we clicked. Some magical chemistry or whatever. All this thing that was talked about, Malati, we cannot say enough, because she was part and parcel of our life, every one of us, our children, Malati and Lakshman children together. She was graceful, she was talented, she was very, very protective of our children and protected them just like her own. I remember many times that she saved Anish from Vijay's karate. And Anish and Madhu were thick as thieves. They were together all the time. But today I want to just mention one more thing. We all talked about her expertise in different languages. You heard a lot of quote from Sanskrit. But I'm going to quote something from Tamil, which was another language she was very proficient in. There's a description of a woman in Tirukural, Tamil, that perfectly fits Malati. I'm going to say that in Tamil and translate. Tarkathu, Tarkondran Peni, Tarai Saranda, Sorkathu, Sorvila Pen. The translation is, a woman is one who protects herself. She takes care of herself. Tarkathu, Tarkondan Peni. She also serves and takes care of her husband. Tahai Sanda Sorkat. In the community, she maintains and keeps the family honor. Sorvilar Pen, one who's tireless. I think that quote fits now.
Okay. Yeah.
Hi, those of you who don't know me, my name is Lakshman, my wife is Chitra, so I'm not pleased to meet you.
It's hard to figure out.
Shiva mentioned monthly meetings for a long time. We talked about 1975, so this is 45 years going on to 50. Shiva, Raj, you have been the pathway for a lot of us. You brought the Shiva Vishnu temple, you brought a whole bunch of things into our life, so thank you for that. But the thing I wanted to quickly mention was Malati's email and also your decisions to open up your life in the last month or 6 weeks so that we can all understand what you're going through, but also feel more comfortable at the end. I've been here a few times when on the day that I came here is when I know the person passed away. Or maybe the week before, if we happen to know. It was so grateful for us to see Malati actually in one of those prayer meetings just a couple of weeks ago. So I want to commend you for making the decision of opening your life and being a part, for us to be a part of it. Thank you.
Oh, should we end it?
The priest is running late.
What?
The priest is running late.
So he's gonna be here.
How's it going? So I also don't have anything pre-prepared, but the grandchildren were mentioned so much, so I thought I'd just come up and speak for us a little bit. I think one of the most amazing things about my Nani was that she really was able to bring the nurturing and loving spirit to the people that she met and engaged with, because even though at times, you felt like this overbearing, crazy grandmother who won't leave me alone and wants to know everything I'm doing and really get into every passion I have, at the end of the day, you knew that she loved you and you had a place in her heart. I remember extreme fishing episodes that she pre-recorded for like literally 2 years straight after I was out of fishing, getting super into dinosaur Romeo, like Muslims, whatever. She even like read my physics textbooks. That's usually a Nana thing, but she really once or twice. But I think one great kind of funny story about my Nani is this one time Nana and fake Nana were hanging out, and me and they just were gonna watch a movie with them, and this movie was called The Edge. It's about these guys that trek out into the wilderness. They're really underprepared, and it's like 6 of them. They're killed off pretty much one by one, like by wild bears and plane crashes, yada yada, whatever. So Dave just makes it like 10 minutes and he's out. I stayed through the whole thing because I idolize my Nana and Big Nana, and so I had to get through it, but I was terrified at the end, and I asked my Nana, can I sleep with you? Will you protect me if a bear comes? And he said, a bear? No, they're like 7 or 8 feet tall. I can't protect you from a bear. And so then terrified, I went running looking for Nani, and she just embraced me and told me everything would be okay. A bear was no match for her. And then she made me some hot chocolate, or nakanuk as I called it. And she also had a knack for just soothing people. So like when she wanted to make you feel calm, and I don't know, she just had something about her, and I slept fine. I don't know. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, Namaste. Malati was a champion of equanimity and world peace, and she hated the discrimination. That is, her soul will be thrilled to hear this wonderful song written by Sri Parmacharya. Maitrim bhajata adila grijetrim. Maitrim bhajata adila grijetrim. Atmavadeva paranapi pashyata. Atmavadeva paranapi pashyata. Yuddham tyajata shraddham tyajata. Yuddham tyajata spardham tyajata. Tyajata pareshva kramamakramanam. Tyajata pareshva kramamakramanam. Maitrim bhajata adila grijetrim. Janani prithvi kamadugaste. Janani prithvi kamadugaste. Janako devaha sakala dayado. Janako devaha sakala dayado. Damyanata dayatam janata. Damyanata dayatam janata. Shreyo bhuya sakala jananam. Shreyo bhuya sakala jananam. Shreyo bhuya sakala jananam. Shreyo bhuya sakala jananam. Thank you.
They just.
What should we do?
We just have to say, Aiden's gonna speak, and then Aiden's gonna speak, and then we're just gonna close.
Hi everyone, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, just wanted to say something quickly before we move on. Yeah, it's kind of crazy being around so many people that I've known not any longer than I've been alive. But for the comparatively short time that I've gotten to know her, it's been just I can't talk. Just an incredible experience. Just her compassion and generosity. Like Ethel was saying about giving my earrings, I felt like every time I came or anyone came, she was trying to give away everything to everyone. I think she would have given away her house if not, I didn't have to live in it. Every time she was saying, just take this. I'll have Nana buy a new one. Don't worry. So, I don't have a lot to say, but thanks everyone for being here. And sorry. Yeah, I'm really thankful to everyone here for being supportive of me and the family and everyone. Oh. Sorry, thank you. That's what I can say.
So, this is where we conclude our ceremonies. We want to thank everyone for coming, everyone on here and everyone online, in India, and the rest. We're going to go proceed to the religious rites now, which are, you know, the family's going to put my mom to rest. But thank you again for coming. Thank you for showing your support. We love you guys so much. I think Aiden said it best. We're just touched by everyone who's here and everyone who's online and everyone who's, you know, managed to make it, whether it's the weather or whether it's internet streaming issues or whatever it is. If you managed to be here, we're happy to have you here. And I know my mom would be so happy to know that you know, we've had so many people around. So thank you so much, and take care.
No, this is a priest and medicine.
Okay, and we have, the priest just came, so they're going to say the prayer, and then after that we'll close.
You want to say a word? Go ahead. You want to say a word? Wait, say it. Yeah.
If you want to, we're done.
So we have one more speaker. Okay, then Namaste, I'm just going to say something, and then after that we'll close.
I'm sure you heard a lot of stuff about Malathi from here, and the highlight of my memory is our childhood. Malathi, among my cousins of her family, my aunt's daughter, and we were closer to age. Hers is a large family, and so most of my contact in the younger days was with Malathi, and Sampath, who is just a couple of years older than her. Lively person. The child, you should really have seen her here as a child. You couldn't hold her in one place. She always played with boys. and you know, most of, their wedding, they lived in Delhi. We lived in South, and so all the weddings have to be in South India. So my dad, who is very close to his sister, her mother, usually is behind a lot of this scheduling the wedding. And when you come back, there are a lot of boys, very few girls. She was always with us, and very restless, very curious, extremely energetic, very bright. And some of the boys were really slow to follow, so a lot of challenges with her. Very good. She stayed like that most of her life. She wanted to become a doctor, and so the next time, I think next one that I want to hear is when Lakshman met Malathi for the first time, and we were ready, we were getting ready on the right side, on Malati's side, and here comes Lakshman, and so my aunt was asking me, what do you think about the bridegroom? I said, he's like a film actor. I don't know whether you, it's you know, when they were seeing each other, there's no privacy. It was just like 20 people all over the place. He brought up, a gang of about 10 people, maybe. And we were quite a few because it was the wedding of my cousin, her brother, Rajan. It was the wedding on that day. And the thing coincided at that time. And so we attended my cousin's wedding. And of course, our memory goes back to that too. I'm sure you remember that. And even the song that she sang, Alaipaile. Yeah, we were making fun of that. Because, she saw Lakshman and started saying Alaipaile. Yeah. So, and of course, over the years here, over the last 50 years, both of us have lived here. And Lakshman and Malathi, and we have most of my friends here, many of my friends here, we knew them through Malathi and Lakshman, from the time we have all over the years. And one thing the last thing I want to say about Malathi, she's like a piece of glass. You can look right through. What's in her head, what's in her mind at that second is what you're going to hear, whether you like it or not. Very, very, very straight on your face, but very nice person. There's nothing that she can change or anything. And lifelong, and we also had some working relationship. Of course, both Lakshman and Malathi were part of our healthcare system. So it's a long memory, very nice memory. It's sad that she's the youngest of my brother. But the memories are very good. Such a nice person, and thank you.
Thank everybody. So you can just tell. Should we tell everyone?
I want to thank everybody coming all the way. I really appreciate it very much. You've made this day very, very memorable.
I
Sorry, I messed up.
With 11th hour call.
Don't hesitate to come.
Our teachers were